Dougie's right here. It is finally time. After almost 6 months, I finally got the truck off the trailer. And so the fire truck is here and ready for me to try and get it so it runs again. Last time it ran was about 1994. So what is that? 27 years? Something like that. So I found a couple of parts to help. So here's the crank and a little adapter to turn the engine over. When I first brought it home, I did open up each one of the fuel cups, and I'll show you what those are. And I put a little mystery oil in it. So all winter it's been soaking. And, well, let's try and get this hood open, and then I'll find a place to put you guys while I'm working. My goodness. It's only heavy when you pick it up. Okay, so this is a Continental. I don't know what size or really much about it, but these are those cups I was telling you about. And they're for, I guess they're for priming. You put a little bit of fuel in them, a little gasoline in them when you're trying to cold start this. Because, I mean, it has a choke on it, but it's got a big updraft carburetor, which was not attached when I brought it home. I did put it on when it got here so I could close the choke and try and keep rodents out. Here's the tag. I don't know if you guys can read that or not, but that's what it is. So what I know about it at this point is that the last owner tried to get it started. There's some jumper clips on here and all that, but never really got around to it. He's a nice fella, but he's very elderly and not in the greatest of health at the moment. So he never really got back to it. But we do know it turns over. I have this little adapter, and I put the adapter on there, and one-handed, this is fun. And there's the crank installed, and if we so it turns pretty easy, which is good. So each cylinder has had mystery oil in it for, well, at least 6 months. And I had one. Well, let's see what we got. I got a commercial battery in here, and the system is normally 6 volt, so I won't try and hook up the ignition at this point. I'm going to replace the 6 volt coil with a 12 volt coil because it just turns over so much better. I remember this when we tried to turn it over with a 6 volt battery, and I might as well have been trying to hand crank it. When I was 14, so that'd be 1984, is when they got this. And the engine was seized. I think I mentioned it's the first vehicle I ever worked on, and it got me into being a lifetime worth of fixing junk. And there is a rule. You do have to ring the bell whenever that's Jacqueline. She's enjoying the sun. So let's hook this up and open up the bleeder cups and see what cylinders have compression, and make sure we've got at least a little poof on every one. So if we open each one of these, and it's weird, putting the handle down opens it. And that button there is the starter switch. So I'm going to be reaching in and hitting that, and we will sounds like we've got at least a little compression. So what should I do? I want to check to see if each cylinder has it. So I'm either going to end up having to put my thumb over each one, or just closing them, leaving one open at a time. Okay, that one seems to have compression. That one's at least making noise. And this one. Jackie wants to know what I'm doing. Hi. That one's a little quieter, but it's definitely got something. That one's a little less, too. So, but considering this thing's been sitting since, you know, it was the Stone Age, I think. That one's got a good... Okay. I'll close that. Open that one. Oh, that's a good one. Huh. Okay, so each one of those is closed. Now, a lot of people do their first starts on here, and they just try to start it, and then if it doesn't start, they go do things like clean the points. And I will tell you that this carburetor was not attached, and I put it through my ultrasonic cleaner and cleaned it before I even put it on last fall. So I wouldn't even bother to try and start this if it didn't have clean points and a good carburetor and antifreeze and compression, because you're just wasting your time otherwise. So I checked it all first, and I know so far you see what we got. You can only have one half of the hood open at any given time. So let's go to the other side where the distributor is. Excuse me. Little hay fever. It's 90 degrees out today. Right. So this is the ignition side. And some of you may have noticed there's 2 spark plugs for cylinder. And that is because this engine has 2 completely separate ignition systems. It has a magneto and it has a distributor. So I'm going to try and start it off the distributor side because I know with a set of points and such, you know, you put power to a coil and your points are good, you should at least have spark, and I think we should, unless these spark plugs are all junk, which, well, there's 2 per cylinder, hopefully at least one set works. But we'll take what do we have? Well, that's an interesting point setup, huh? Well, they're open. Let's pull the rotor button off. I don't know why we call it a rotor button. It's a rotor button, I guess. And we'll take the old piece of sandpaper here. Oh yeah, see, we're getting... How's it look now? There we go. Well, that'll give it a fighting chance, won't it? Now, does anybody remember which direction this thing was on? It must have been like this. Jacqueline, you are not helping, heavy breather. Yeah, please don't think that I have some sort of perverted heavy breather behind me. I mean, other than the fact that she's my dog, and yeah, she is kind of a Nimrod. Would you get off the fire truck? Thank you. This rusty thing, I have, my next door neighbor's got a 5-ton military, and there was a hole in the floor, so I cut his floor out, welded a new floor in for him out here in the yard. And so the next thing is we have to figure out which switch is which. Because one of these two switches, these are the two ignition switches. And one of them is for the magneto, and one of them is for the points, but I can't really read them. So let me get a little closer to these and see if, you know, maybe one says, I'll look at this video, see if one says ignition 1 or ignition 2 or whatever it says. So let me get a, hey, you know what? I wonder if the oil pressure has a oil pressure. Maybe we should do that next. Yeah, let me go around the other side. Close this side of the hood. Open the other side. And I gotta say that here, let's put you right here for a minute. All right. On the other side now. This fire truck, fire engine, fire whatever you want to call it, came from East Haven, Connecticut. It was their first ladder truck. It was called a city service truck, and it basically just held a bunch of wooden ladders that weigh 1,000,000 pounds. So what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to open all these, and then we'll hit the starter, and we'll keep an eye on the oil pressure gauge and see if we get any oil pressure before we start screwing with it too much. I've been talking to myself again. What you didn't see, and we can go do it again, was I opened up all the little bleeder cups, and I went over and hit the starter, and I checked to see if it had any oil pressure before I was even considering trying to start it. And it had it. So what we'll do is we'll go over there, and I'll repeat the procedure so we can look at it together. And then I'll come back, and I want to replace this 6-volt coil with a 12-volt coil before I try to start it. And I have to hook up some sort of fuel system. So let's go around. Jackie's the boss. You got to back up there, sweetums. Thank you. Look, fire truck ladders. All right. So, there's the switch, and there's the oil pressure gauge. It went up, and that's all I care about. This thing probably didn't have a huge amount of oil pressure from day one. So let's see where we're at. I'm going to shut this off for a minute and be right back. All right. We're in the what I call the big shop now. And we're going to look. I think I have a coil on the shelf over here. We'll take a look. But for those of you who have been asking me about this project, this is going to be my Model A Speedster. I got a set of brakes for hydraulic brakes I could put on the front. I still don't have a rear axle yet. It's a hodgepodge. I mean, there's a Dodge grill. And, well, that's interesting. What happened to my radiator? Huh, something hit it. Great. So, yeah, it hasn't gone far. It still has a Dodge engine in it. It's currently holding a bunch of fire truck parts. And as you can see, my organizational skills are absolutely incredible. And here we have a Ford coil that I believe is 12 volt. We can try this one, and I have another one on the other side of the room, and I have a new one in the little shop. So maybe I should just go to the little shop and get the new one. All right, let's go take a look at that. All right, I'm back. I got my little primer. It's got gasoline in it. So we're gonna put just a okay, and then we gotta close them. All right, I put a 12-volt coil in, and I was looking at these, and where they're at is off. I'm going to put them both to on, just in case the mag works. And here's our coil. And now we hit the starter and see what happens. I got the fuel tank hooked up. Well, that sounds like a bunch of nothing so far. Let's make sure this isn't arcing out to something. We'll stand it up a little bit. So we know that's hooked, and that's hooked. And I put a little bit of gas in each. Let's close the choke. Hey, that'll help. Let's start with that. Okay. Let me go find a spark plug wire, and we'll test to see if we have any spark at the coil. All right. So let's check to see if we have spark. I got a spark plug wire hooked to the coil, and I got it hot wired right to the battery down to the points here, and see if we have any. Yeah, we got some there. I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like we got spark there. Where'd it go? Ow! I got bit, so something's going on. Yeah, we got spark. Okay. Let me, oops, I shut it off. So, let's see, this is the wire I put in off of a 67 Falcon. And the coil wire to the truck is right here, and now it's plugged in. And it looks like we have connection. So, let's, oh yeah, baby, start. You know you want it. We got to go over to the carburetor side now that this side's working. All right, hold on. All right. Oh, you know what? I turned the gas back off. And did I have the choke on? I think we don't need to choke. I heard some life. First time in 30 fucking years almost. The float's hung up though. Let's see if I can't. Oh, that gas is just pouring out of that carburetor. All right, guess we got to shut that gas off. Looks like the carburetor's got to come off again. But let's see. Throttle. Oh, we were so close. Well, it's got some mist oil in the cylinders, wouldn't you say? Well, let's try and give it just a little gas. Well, look at that. That's leaking too at the packing. We'll slow the feed down. And maybe I think we lost something. There we go. We lost spark. I don't know. Not enough gas? Too much gas? Let's give it some more. Maybe the petcock's not. Oh yeah, it drained the filter out already. You know what? Why don't we, I figure we'll turn up the idle a little bit, but we'll just crack the throttle a bit. All right. Flooded, maybe? Fouled out the plugs, maybe? Well, we know it runs, and it didn't make any knocking noises. I think for now, I'm going to call that a win and keep this a short video. And it's 90 degrees out. I'm going inside. And I'll probably have to pull the carburetor again, just the float. It came in a basket, so I'm pretty sure I got everything back where it belonged. It might be time to take it apart and look again. All right, guys. Let's call it a win. So here I am, sweating my nuts off. Hey, that's a win for me. I've got a set of spark plugs for this thing, and these spark plugs are pretty cruddy. I think next video we'll change the spark plugs, but for today, hey, I'm happy. I heard it go poopity poopity poop, and that's more than it's done since 1994. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you wish. We'll talk to you later. Looks like I got some carburetor adjusting to do. Oh, well, yeah, that's closed all the way. That's not going to work. Let's give it one more try. I had it run for about a minute. Well, it runs.